Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sex Sunday. And I just want to say I'm glad to see y'all. Sorry, it's been a week without it, but we back, and it's gonna be a great conversation, a deep conversation. A lot of things we have to take consideration while having this conversation, specifically like the way this nation has been going, and both transphobia and homophobia, especially with the state making it more in fashion to express that bigotry. I also want to talk about how would it affect specifically people on a personal level. So this time I'll be mainly trying to ask questions and interact. I'll try to take a back seat in this because obviously I am gender fluid, but like I don't experience life as specifically a trans woman clearly. So I think there's voices way more better to speak to it than myself. So well, I want to introduce the first one. Hello, Bellamy. Bellamy. Oh my God, forgive me, Bellamy.
Not you saying my name wrong.
Yeah, I just can't talk right now. I'll be having like speech issues sometimes.
I
uh,
feel you on that. I'll be doing the same shit.
Sometimes I'll be like saying the same word I've been known like wrong five
Mm.
times before I can say it right. It's so bad.
Anyway, hi, hello. What's up, chat? How y'all doing? Y'all about
You
to hear
wanna?
me talk a little bit different this time. I don't really be talking. I don't talk this way unless I'm talking to black folks. So
Do you want to introduce yourself and your channel and tell us a little bit about yourself?
sure. So I call myself a non-binary trans woman, but that's just to make myself like legible to everybody else. Internally, my gender is explicable only to me. um, but I took a long, unplanned hiatus from making content, but I'm getting back into it now. I'm a PhD student, geography PhD student, and I guess you could say I make political content, but like everything's political, so whatever. But most of what I do is focused on the future, thinking about how to do tomorrow, how to bring tomorrow about. Making the world we want to see, shit like that.
All right, fire, fire. So I'm gonna continue with the probably pronounce the names wrong. I want to introduce our next guest, Alekektra. Hopefully I said that right. Oh shoot, we can't hear you again. I don't know what's. Oh, uh,
Mm. No, nothing.
nothing's coming through, and I don't understand why.
She she's saying she explaining shit, but we can't hear now. Hold on, I'm a text. I'm gonna type in the text.
Yeah, yeah, we can't hear you. They can't hear what you're saying. I don't know if you can hear us either. Uh, dang. You might want to hop. Well, if it doesn't, if it's a connection thing, you might want to hop in and out. That sometimes works, but I'm not
It
sure.
might be that. It might also be like the when I connected, my sources was fucked up, so I had to change my sources.
Um, but yeah, I guess we can just chop it up a little bit while trying to figure that out. Give it a quick second.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because I want to keep the conversation going and be a good host. Trying to be like the Maury Povich. No, I'm not. I'm lying. I don't want to
No
be no more
more.
Maury Povich.
You want to be
I
Maury? If
don't
you
even want
trying
to
to be
be
Maury,
Montel.
like, let me know if you're trying to be Maury, because let me know, because I'll dip. I'll let you do your thing by yourself.
I'm not even trying to be Montel to be real. Montel was kind of dope. Well, I ain't like you know what I mean. So,
Montel got too. I got hands from Montel too. Fuck that.
oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Let me know. I don't know what Montel did. I know Maurice has been sucked. I know Jerry's been worse, but I don't
No,
know.
all of them shows from back in the day is they all crazy.
I'll super cringe.
They was
Uh,
all doing fucked up shit to people. So fuck all of them.
oh,
Hi, can you? Sorry.
yes, yeah, okay, we got you.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. I can
so
hear
do you
you
want?
too.
Hello,
What,
hello.
Hi.
I'm doing all
Nice to
right.
meet
I'm,
you.
I'm doing all right. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Um, my name is Alekektra. So Alejandra Electra Jeruti y Zara Horoti Nijordohi. And I am transsexual person who feels very much like everyone's non-binary to different degrees, right? Because the binary is like totally false. It's a construct. And that we all are just like on a very ancient path of balancing like yin and yang internally and externally. And that's like the wave I'm riding right now. And it's good to be here. I think it's like, family and yeah, I don't know what other questions? Do we have questions? I don't know where to start actually.
Oh,
Do we have like a list of like favorite you like, are we doing zodiac signs? Are we doing
Oh shit, are we doing big threes?
shoot.
I love a big three, right?
You see, you can't bring the queer bitches on here, son, and not expect us to do this shit.
All right, we get it. You know, what I mean, I usually don't do icebreakers, so this is probably a learning. I can learn some skills from y'all. You feel me? Because I'm bad at icebreakers. I'm just like, Shroom. But yeah, no, the big three. Okay, I know what the big three. I know. Okay, so signs. You also said signs. What's the other ones? Other two.
So, well, I mean, I would do. My favorites are the big three for zodiac. Right? Is like the like most popular like Eurasian one that originates in Babylonia, in ancient Mesopotamia, right? That's like practiced like in like Western Eurasian and North African and like South Asian communities, and then also like Chinese astrology and then Mayan as well. Those are my big three, and then within like the Indo-European North African tradition, I love moon, ascendant, sun. So I would say like my moon is in. I was born under the full moon in Pisces, and that's where my heart is. And my head is very much like the constellation. The sun was in Leo, though white astrology would say it is in Virgo because it was many moons ago. But the axis of the Vedics know better. The people in South Asia. And my ascendant is in Sagittarius, and that's where I am in that like system. And I was born in the year of the metal horse, and my day sign in the Mayan astrological system is the mirror or the blade, obsidian stone.
See, she know way more about this than I do, but
yeah, I'm lost too.
No, I mean, I understood probably about 75% of that, and now I want to just like sit down and Google shit, but I'm gonna let that go for now.
You can always circle back.
Yeah, we gotta always come back to it. But if we're going, just typical sun, moon, rising.
Yeah,
I'm a Libra sun. I'm a Capricorn moon, so I'm rude as hell. And I'm a Taurus rising, so I'm a future optimist sort of person.
I love that.
So all I know is I'm a super Sag. Like I got like another like the houses or whatever, but I got multiple in Sagittarius. The main one, my birthday like December 11th, so it's just coming up. So I'm a Sagittarius, and then the year thing, I'll be an Ox. So that's about all I know as far as that is concerned.
I don't remember what year I was. I ain't even gonna look it up. I don't want to know. I'm gonna let it go.
You know what? A fun thing, right? Like, have y'all ever heard of Ophiuchus, the constellation, the 13th constellation of Ophiuchus?
I've heard of the 13th. I don't remember like the name specifically, other than what you just said.
So Ophiuchus is like the constellation, the serpent bearer, which is like Imhotep from ancient Egypt, or like Asclepius or Apollo from the like Hellenic like interpretation. That's a snake bearer, and that like, constellation is like wedged right between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and like the sun is actually currently in Ophiuchus, and is like will be there through I think the 21st, so through the winter solstice, when it'll like fully enter Sagittarius. Because right now we're like in between of like fire and water.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know shit about this, but yeah. I know I'm fire and I'm Sagittarius. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Oh, VP over here confused.
I really don't know astrology like that. I'll be a buck. I'm like,
It's cool. It's fun. It's fun. I use astrology the same way that I use like tarot. It's a methodology. It's like a way of understanding myself. There's nothing to do with whether or not I believe it's true or not. That's not important. It's just how I use it to reflect, to understand me better.
That's real. That's real. That's real. I feel it. Uh, damn. I wish I could say more, say something on it, but I'm just like kind of clueless. It's been interesting a couple times where someone broke it down to me before, but I like really just haven't dived into it very much. I've always been kind of just like, oh, that's cool to read real quick. Okay, that's what's supposed to happen today, supposedly. I bet. Interesting. That's fun. And I just push on, so I never really got into it. I tried, but it's like a whole complex system. It's just like didn't pull to me. But okay, I wanna get y'all's feedback on like the present state before we really dive into like heavier stuff of like what you how y'all feel about the political situations that we're having with inside America, and if it's really just following a trend or making a new problematic trend. Um,
So,
so I'm
so you
actually
asking if it's a new thing or if it's just
follow,
I don't know.
like yeah, because I know a lot of like the shit ton of transphobic legislation, a shit ton of like transphobic propaganda coming out left and right, especially through like YouTubes and the shorts and shit like that. And I wanted to see if people, if y'all think it is turning a new problematic corner, or if it's just following an already existing trend that
Well,
has
it's
already
a
been.
tale as old as time. Like
Yeah,
it is scapegoating. That is just like the same fucking. It's Whore of Babylon, like bullshit.
yeah,
Like
same shit, same shit, different day.
same shit. Absolutely.
This
Sorry.
ain't
Please
this ain't nothing
go.
new.
Continue.
No, I'm
No,
just
go.
co-signing. I'm co-signing. I'm hype manning right now. That's what I'm doing.
I love that. Thank you. I love that energy. But no,
Yeah,
it
no,
is 100% that. It's like, um, it's about power and control of. It's about control and a
Mm,
struggle a struggle of control that like is repeated so endlessly, like internally and externally in this like cosmos. Again, in our interpersonal relationships, like right here, right now, and like our relationship to like land and place and this so-called nation state and all our ancestors like past and future because time is like an illusion as separation. So just like being able to sit here present like in this moment with y'all is really sacred and beautiful, and I might just turn there now. So I'm very grateful for this and grateful to you all. But what's the present state? The present state is it's just a new flavor of the same old bullshit. Like they would have been lobotomizing us for wearing skirts like just a couple decades ago. Before that, they were burning us as faggots at the stake. And it's just another year. And I feel like we're mobilizing and we're connecting and we are stronger than ever. And we are really rooting more and more. I'm seeing this at least in my own small spheres, um, into community and self-care as
mm,
being like the praxis, because like self is community and community is self.
mm,
They're so interlinked. We are like one organism. We're one biome. And we need each other so intimately. And we're also intimately attached in ways that
mm.
we could never hope to like consciously understand, at least in this life, like in this way now. Um, so yeah, I think it's an old dance and it's a new theme and it's a new day. And I think it's time for us to like collectively, you know, renew our commitments always, right? To like liberation and building liberation and like here and now for us, and trying to build spaces here between you and I, all of us, where we all feel free and respected and like whole, and like we can be our whole selves.
Yeah, for real. For sure. I mean, yeah, definitely from my perspective, definitely seems like it's been intensifying, but like it's weird because I know for me, like, yeah, yes, I'm bi, yes, I'm gender fluid, but the way the world perceives me very much as a cis male, right? That's just like how people perceive me on a daily basis, unless they
That's so
know.
basic.
Uh,
This change in perspective is all that means, honey.
uh, yeah, I mean, and I get it, but like, I mean, I know how when I navigate the world, it will like interact with me differently, right? Because of
Yeah,
that, because
absolutely. Of course.
Mm.
Of course.
and so like I know that like I have limited perspectives, specifically. I mean, even as like just being queer, period, because a lot of people don't even see me that way. I mean, I don't know. It's always been like a complex thing for me because like when I'm in the hood, it's a lot more clear to people, but when I'm like around like white folks or people who aren't from the hood, it's kind of a little different. I'm perceived very, very straight, right? And so I know the world navigates, but it always feels to me like from my perspective, where I do feel the intersections of depression, right? That it
Yeah.
seems like everything intensifies, but it's really just like you said, the same old shit. You know what I mean? It's like they're doing the same shit in a different way. They're adapting to us adapting and resisting. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
Basically, like that's really all it is. It's the same song played with different instruments. You know, it's just you can see echoes of this shit just looking back through even just American history. Like you don't even really need to go elsewhere. You know, the same sorts of panics come up over and over and over again. Um, who was it? Adrienne Marie Brown was quoting someone else, but I don't remember who she was quoting. But she said that like things aren't getting worse; they're getting uncovered.
Yes.
And that's really all it is. It's just
Yes.
all the shit that we knew was always a problem. All the shit that black folks been saying is a problem. All the shit trans people, other queer
Migrants.
people have been saying was a
Native
problem.
folks.
Has been a problem, and now it's starting to get shown because people feel like they can they feel like they got a window, so they're trying to do it. It's the same type of shit that happened back in Charlottesville in 2016 when Unite the Right. You know, like these people know that being a fascist isn't socially acceptable, so they got to call themselves everything but fascists. And the goals have always been the same. The goals will always be the same. It's just the same shit, and it's like flinging shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, and whatever sticks is what they go with.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, like, fascism is always permitted, and like, we are so like the way that word is used, right, and like the way we talk, we use it collectively. I think and think about it is with a very specific history and in very specific instances. And we only are, you know, we talk. I see a lot of like hyperbole, right, comparing like jokes also about like don't compare everyone to Hitler or whatever. And also like we need to kill our inner Hitlers. We need to kill our just like we need to kill our inner cops. We just need to kill our inner like emperors and like people like ego, you know, like the the foolhardiness, the silliness, the selfishness, in a negative way, not in a positive way, but it can be positive, right? But in a negative way of like losing sight of like the collective for interest in the self, as if the self isn't so intimately tied to the collective and the collective to the self.
Yeah, like interconnection, or the fact that it's or seeing uh everything within the fact of being in an environment and being interconnected like the planet is itself, or even our social networks are, right, is I think we're trained to see ourselves as islands, right, and not see the connectivity of like how we are interdependent as a species, period, much less as communities, as peoples, right? So
Yes.
I think that's a big thing that gets completely overlooked because we live in capitalism. Capitalism wants to train us to be individuals, to be like, oh, we this island over here. I am my own little kingdom. Whoop de whoop de whoop. And it's like, yo,
No, you're connected to the water though. and you're connected by the land to the core, which is connected to everything because everything's connected. No island is an island because all islands are connected to the core, right? And we're all connected by water and air. Like, it's all one. And pretending otherwise is foolish. Its separation is an illusion, and it's a dangerous one. Just power is built around it in all kinds of crazy, not crazy, just extremely fucked up ways. I'm sorry for that ableist language, but fucked up ways. And it's like it's illusion. It's all these islands are just leading to the same source. It's all like a big chakra with like all the axles going to the same place.
And also, as far as like the fascism element too that you were just speaking on, I want to be very like I really resent how people picture Hitler as the embodiment of fascism. I was like, no, this is just one manifestation of a multi-pronged thing that was actually inspired by the nation that we live in right now, which is a fascist nation.
Yeah,
and
Biden
has
too.
been a fascist nation. Yeah, and Biden too. Not just Trump, the blue and the red.
Obama, Reagan, same fucking. It's all the same puppet masters.
And they've been fascist, and like we got to realize that, because I think what people get caught up in is like, oh, if you're saying something's fascist, you're comparing them to Hitler. It's like, no. In fact, if I want to tell you the truth, I'm saying that our nation specifically, was worse than Hitler. Was worse than every single nation. Preceding, and after. Like the body count. Look at the fucking body count. It just speaks for itself. I know I'm going a little left with this, so I want to try to reel it back in, because we're talking about fascism. We can go in on that. That's a whole stream in and of itself that could go for hours and hours, because I think we got a lot of misconceptions around what fascism is. But I do want to really into like how stuff affects people interpersonally, and I wanted to inquire about how like dating and interaction with that, since it is Sex Sundays, and I feel like should play time to relationships in that way. How was like dating affected by the current state, and like what are like some of the like, I mean, I know a lot of us know, so might be preaching to the choir, but like what are like some of like the dangers and the struggles that go on, and then what are some of the more things that are more subtle and not necessarily as known, while trying to date and exist trans inside this environment.
Well, to be visibly trans, right? I mean, like, I fundamentally think that, like, the construct of gender is an absurdity. Like, we are all, like, there is one race, the human race. We are all human. We are all humans. And there is one gender, the human gender, which is as varied as Mother Nature themselves, which means that there are, like, as many genders as there are beings. You know, we all have our own vibe, and like our vibes shift depending on like our relation, like how we relate to one another and the environments we find ourselves in. And that's everyone, you know, like who was it that was like life's a stage and like something, it's all drag, whatever. That sentiment, you know, is like very profound and very true. In terms of gender, like it's a costume that like, because I don't know. I fundamentally believe I believe in a soul. I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that like we are soul, and these bodies are temporary, and we've been here before. We'll be here again. Us three in this conversation in some way has happened. This action right now like reverberates through time and space, and yeah, we know each other in past and future lives, because it's just like it's all recurring. And I feel like the more present we get with each other and with ourselves, the more we can begin to like really dismantle shit, because it starts at home first, and at home is where? It's in our minds. It's in this body, or each of our bodies, where we like house so much generational trauma. So many countless wars and genocides, invasions, and like fleeing, and fighting, and dying, right?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to hear you say some of the stuff that you're saying. So Alekektra, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that is like there's mirrors of that sort of thinking in all sorts of philosophy, but there's tons of mirrors in like Buddhist philosophy for that sort of thinking. But I
Love
guess
Buddhist philosophy, especially Tibetan.
Middle way Buddhism.
Of course, we have to follow the middle way of the frontera. Like as we all are, we are our bodies, our identities. I don't know about y'all, but like I'm mixed as fuck, but between so many different peoples, and it's like our bodies are these like our borderlands, like Gloria Ansotua like wrote about, and so many other countless like brilliant people have noted this reality of like living at this like at the borderland between like yang and yin, and between all like dualities and polarities, and embodying all and none and one in and everything imaginable in between.
Right. I guess if I want to like try and answer BP's question, talking about like the challenges of trying to date as someone who's trans, which I think definitely like it's a different set of challenges being someone who's visibly trans versus being someone who people assume you're one thing or the other, whatever nonsense they want to impose on you. And like for me, I can still boy mode and people assume I'm a man, so they leave me the fuck alone. But it cuts both ways in the sense that like if I'm trying to date other women who are looking for women to date, that can be a problem for me. Because people might look at me and think, oh, well, that's a man. She's a man. So I have to figure out, like, a lot of my dating involves, like, a lot of, like, front-end work. I have to find spaces or people that are safe for me in the first place to then, like, venture further. So I can't just jump on, like, a dating app. Like, if I just jump on Tinder or something, or if I just downloaded Grindr, like, that wouldn't work for me. Wait, did we lose Alekektra? We might have lost her. You got some spam going on in your chat there too, BP.
Yeah, I love those things pop.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Speaking of dating while trans, I have a date right now. I know this is bad timing. Okay. I didn't want to totally cancel. But I would also love to continue this conversation on another point, or more conversations in general with y'all. But Abraham is just showing up, and I am a little late. So I will have to talk to you later. But it was so lovely to like see you again and get to know you, for this be introduced. And I'm looking forward to maintaining contact.
Yeah, most def. Damn, well, date. If it's a good date.
I think it will be.
Is it a first? Is it a first date?
We've had many phone dates. We've had a lot of virtual dates, and this is our first like hangout. Okay. Hey, well, how are you?
Good, thanks. All right.
Well, go have fun. You go do that.
Thank you.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
Man, that was quick. Oh shit! I didn't know they had a date. All right. Well, I hope they have fun. You know what I mean? Damn. Well, I lost track where we're at. My bad. I don't know.
No, it's cool. You had asked about dating, like the challenges of dating while trans, and I was trying to keep it focused on like transness because there was another trans person in the conversation. But I guess we can get a little bit deeper considering well, that they're gone and it's just two niggas in a conversation now. But dating while trans isn't just dating while trans, like it's dating while trans and black, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real. I can I feel like, especially, I know that not from experience, but like from knowing a lot of other folks who go through it, specifically trans black women, it can be extremely dangerous. And that is also that element of it too. And that's one thing that really gets me really heated about all the like anti-trans propaganda is like it's making shit literally more dangerous. And I don't think a lot of times a lot of propaganda has that same effect. Despite what I think a lot of people say it does, I don't think it has the same effect as it does for specifically trans Black women, because we see how like the system and society reacts when like trans Black women lose their lives. How there's like literally a whole fucking lack of care, and how a lot of that comes through like dating avenues, which is horrifying.
That's where it happens, for sure. I mean, so like, all right, I don't want to overstate, so I'm gonna be careful about how I say this, but so I'm quote unquote lucky in the sense that like I don't date cis men, so I don't have this specific avenue of danger like in my life. But if you're a trans Black woman, what happens a lot of the time is like, so I like to talk about fascism as like a built-in thing. Like it is definitely like a mobilization, and you know people are mobilizing to do shit to people. But when you look at trans Black folks, I like to say that we've been living under fascism from day one. Like this isn't like a, you know, we're not hiding under layers of irony or whatever. Like it's just straight up, just it is what it is. And it's because, so like one of the things that I like to say is like fascism has to come for like white trans people, right? Like it has to make an effort to come and get those folks now, present day. But Black trans people are already getting got, and it's just like a what is it? Like in Training Day, what's his name? Alonzo said it in Training Day, like, or it wasn't Alonzo, it might have been what's his name's character, but it's like, you know, he says like let the animals eat themselves or whatever, right? The situation that's created is already so dangerous that it results in Black trans death. And from what I understand, most of that death comes from intimate partners or people like from within community. Like the people that generally, from what I understand, that kill Black trans people are also Black. That's not a reflection on Black people. That's a reflection on the fucked up society that created the situation in the first fucking place. So like Dominique Fells is somebody that I bring up a lot because she was found within a half-hour walk of my house, and she had got killed. She got stabbed by a man. Like we don't know or at least the last time I looked, we didn't know the particulars of like the situation, but what I assume or what I am like trying to deduce happened is that she was messing around with some dude, and then he kind of freaked out for whatever reason and cut her up and dumped her in a river basically, and she washed up on shore. So dating, like if you're a Black trans woman and you're dating straight people, that's really fucking dangerous in the sense that like intimate partners get really fucking aggressive and dangerous and violent. So that's the sort of like, especially for Black trans people, but for trans people in general, I think that's true too. That's a sort of environment that you're navigating. And I think generally that's one of the reasons that like, so most of the trans people I know, like myself included, are dating other trans or gender non-conforming people. Like my partner might not call themselves trans, but they're not cis. It's just easier and it's safer.
Facts. That's real. And like, I mean, it's wild too. And that's one of the things is right. Is like, that's one of the things where I see like, cause I'm being said like, yo, a lot of the arguments people make about like, social cultures impacting material safety is usually not, I don't put a lot of stock in, but when it comes to like trans women, it feels very different, right? Especially Black trans women, it feels very much like it is, because like we see like the normalization of violence based off of like supposedly being fooled, quote unquote bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm,
When really
mm-hmm.
what it is you know most of these motherfuckers off top, y'all knew they were trans, and then you were upset when other people found out, and to save face, a lot of these motherfuckers get really violent and aggressive because of that, to save face. You know what I mean? Which is that's what it looks like from the outside again, like at least. And I mean, and from experiences I've had people tell me, and I'm gonna be very clear. I don't want to speak as if it's my experience because it clearly isn't. But you know, it's yeah, and also it's the same thing is like I don't date like one I'm gender fluid, which is I know people on trans umbrella, but it does those are very different experiences like certain other trans folks, right? As far as like how the world treats me. But also if I'm dating fucking with a cis man, they're probably have very feminine energy and stuff, and they're very much more like openly out the closet. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? So it's not really something that's gonna really be a threat. Plus, I'm 6'2" and like, you know, 400 pounds. So really not like, you know, it's not, it wouldn't, you know, I just think the world reacts to me a specific way because of that as well. So, but I know I have a lot of friends that have a lot of horror stories that they've shared with me, which I'm not obviously not going to say, but because it's not my business to share. But those things have influenced like my outlook on it based off of what they've told me, and it feels like I said a lot of people. It's really about them, about other people finding out that they're attracted to trans women, which is fucking wild. That people are really dictated by someone's opinion to the point that they would hurt somebody they, I mean, supposedly care about. You know what I mean? Apparently, but then obviously for some people, and I really believe it too, because some people like ego and pride can get people to do a lot of foul shit that, you know what I mean, to save it, even if it's hurting people they care about and themselves to do so. And it's just super and it's and that's why I feel like that I see where it actually is influenced by like the propaganda pushed out, right? Because I feel like a lot of times propaganda is pushed out off of the bigotry that already exists, which is still true in this situation, but I don't think a lot of time it actually enhances the bigotry and the violence that's coming from it. I think it's just like it just comes together hand in hand, versus in this situation it feels like, because I did like all the like jokes, all the shit that's just really made light of, that is only seen in like one other intersection that I can think of. It really feels like it does manifest it because of people moving out of their egos and their like fear of being outed and all these type of things. But I could be completely off base too.
I mean, I don't think you're off base. I think that the way it happens can be particular and varied, like depending on the person involved. But this all stems from like demonizing. I mean, if we're just talking about trans women, you know, this all stems from demonizing trans people, demonizing nonconformity, you know, demonizing like an alternative, quote unquote, alternative way of being, an alternative gender or sexuality or whatever the fuck it is. It's all coming from that, because the people that like, you know, have that like quote unquote trans panic. I mean, it's all. If you ask me, it's all from shame. You know, it's all from internal shame or external shame, one way or the other. You know, either you felt bad that you were attracted to someone, you know, who's trans, and then you did something that you felt shameful about, so you felt like you had to act after that, or someone else found out that you were dating a trans person, and now you wanna act out of that too. Like, it's all shame for me. But the issue is like dating a trans woman, especially for cis men, is seen as like a reflection of like who they are, because dating a trans woman is bad or whatever, some fucking like it's gay or whatever. Like, if it's gay, who the fuck cares is the answer to that. Is the answer to that. But like it is absolutely stemmed from, you know, built-in structural problems, but there's also like that propaganda issue that you're talking about. Like, with the past year and a half, however long it's been now, where they've put trans people in the forefront, walking while trans is dangerous in itself. But if you're walking with your partner who is trans, that doesn't just put that's not just dangerous for the trans person, but that puts the danger on the partner too, because they will come for both of you in some way.
Man, and yeah, and the thing is also like it doesn't share the type of thing like where like it does with like, for example, not to draw a divide, but I just wanted to clarify something.
What differences are useful?
Like it does with cis women, right? Because you ain't gonna have the same. You motherfuckers ain't running to have your back. Period. That's like besides your partner or something like that. This isn't gonna be like how people navigate, which is fucked up. Like, right? Because if you see, for example, a cis man or any man, period, attacking a cis woman, there's going to be some people who step up. But I've seen like these videos, for example, and I guess those of a YouTuber, well, specifically one I'm referring to right now, and apparently she's pretty problematic. But she was being attacked in Hollywood, and then motherfuckers were gonna like step in until they found out she was a trans woman, right? And that shit just was like foul to me. Like, nah, nigga, if you're gonna step in, bro. What the fuck's wrong with you? But like, and the thing is, like, it makes me wonder, like, what's even in their head? Is that them saving face, or do they still feel like they should, or is that them actually like, being like, oh, I don't give a fuck now, or somewhere in between? Probably somewhere in between. And it just like fucked. And also, like, as people who say that they have trans folks' backs, right? Like trans women's back specifically, they need. If you would step in. If it was a cis woman, you need to step in if it's a trans woman. If you're saying that, if you're talking all that game, like, what I mean? Don't just be half-assed, like for real. Like, we see some shit.
If you're gonna step in when women getting hit, then step in when women getting hit. Doesn't matter
Facts.
What kind of woman we're talking about here. Like, why are you playing games with me? Like, stop playing in my face. What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. And the thing is, like, we got.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Also, we just also got to have each other back as queer folks, because at the same time, I'm not gonna really trust a cis straight person to do that, because they probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we're talking about how to deal with the problem, it's that, right? Like, it is identity politics, right? Like, identity politics is the solution to that problem, or at least one of the major solutions to that problem. And identity politics is as easy as like understanding it, is as easy as saying like you do things that advances the interests of this group of people, like this shared identity. So you're doing things that help trans women or trans people, or however you want to go about doing it. And that's what identity politics is. So like if you're talking about protecting or how to protect on a non-individual basis, then the answer is absolutely community. It's other people who give a fuck coming together to protect one another. Like, this is especially this has been a thing for pretty much every oppressed group. It's a thing for Black folks, but if we're using like queer analogs for the situation, this has been a thing. Like, you look at gay men back during like the AIDS epidemic, the thing that kept gay elders alive wasn't the state. It was gay elders. That's what kept them alive. It was leaning on one another. It was organizing with one another. It was cooperating. It was finding solutions to your own fucking problems. And other things came along and medical advancements and stuff like that. But like, the only reason anything really made any sort of movement is because people started working together to solve / demand solutions to their own problems.
Facts. I mean, interesting. When you were saying that, what it made me think of actually was I don't know, like fuck this dude and fucks like how he's getting celebrated, but like the whole Donner shit, right? Like when you saw like in the bathhouses, motherfuckers weren't giving a fuck about what he was doing, except for the people who were actually there in the bathhouses. That
Right.
like you know, I mean, the police didn't give a shit. People turned their blind eye. Shit, the police really returned people he was kidnapping to him. Like it was just like this foul ass shit, right? And it's because people outside our communities didn't give no fucks. And even like,
Right.
and then it gets more complicated too, because I think one thing, especially for like when we talk about like trans folks and especially trans women, is the queer community need to have more solidarity in and of itself, because
Sure.
there's a lot of like anti-trans rhetoric coming even from like the mainstream gay culture, right? Like that, and it's been, which has been a big problem, at least where I'm what was raised and grew up, which is in Seattle, has been a big issue the whole time, which also like makes, it's just fucked up because you're isolating people that we should have solidarity with, because I don't know why. I don't even understand that concept to me, but for real. I mean, it's similar to, it's not similar. But it's along the vein of the biphobia thing, but like worse, like way worse. Because transphobia, like even in the queer community, is like so fucking prevalent. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Especially the mainstream gay community. Like,
honey, God, no. Don't even. I mean, I guess if we're talking like specifically about dating, like if I would say there's a trans woman experience trying to date, it's just trans misogyny. Like that's it. Like, top, bottom, left, and right. Like that's what it is. No matter where you go on Lex, you're gonna get it. You go on Tinder or Bumble or Grinder, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. You go to a queer friendly bar, you're gonna get it. There's gonna be, if you're like, I guess if I just want to talk about like my own experience specifically, like I don't go to lesbian spaces specifically because I am aware of how people are going to read me, and that's going to bring up all sorts of other problems. I mean, you could talk to like a butch lesbian one time, and they'll tell you like the type of shit that just like presenting quote unquote masculine kind of brings about for them. So if I'm gonna walk into like a lesbian space because I want to date women, like fuck you mean, um, that's a problem for me, and it's a problem for other people too, dude. Because when you're in a space like that and people are trying to like gatekeep maybe isn't the word, but like like no one's gonna stop you from walking into a lesbian bar, right? Just to say that like plainly. I walked into a lesbian bar back when I thought I was a cis man, and literally no one gave me a problem. So it's not like even walking into that space is going to be an issue. But if I go in there and I start trying to like date people, that comes with a significant like fear on my part that one, I'm going to make someone uncomfortable just because they're going to think, oh, well, this is a man hitting on me, even though like I'm a fucking year on hormones at this point. And two, I don't feel like dealing with the trans misogyny in return. People get really weird with someone that might look one way or the other telling you what their gender is, and then responding to that with like discomfort isn't the word, but what they're feeling internally is discomfort, but then they respond to you like you caused the discomfort. You know what I mean? Like me being me isn't causing you to be uncomfortable. You having your ideas about the world is what's causing you to be uncomfortable. I'm just minding my motherfucking business.
Facts. That's real talk. I mean, but I think people have this sense of entitlement and wanting to dominate and control other people and their livelihood to fit their wants and interests, which is, I mean, I think I don't know. I think it's one of the roots of the issue. Honestly, is that people have this, and I don't understand that. Why? I've never been someone to get wanting to control somebody else, right? Wanting to shape it. Like if something makes me uncomfortable, I just just either keep space or learn to not be uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't, you know what I mean. And keeping space doesn't mean dictating that they're not around. It means just like, oh, I don't know, they're kind of, you know, I know some people who got some different types of living that I don't really vibe with, and I just keep distance. And that's you know what I mean. Now it's not around gender, which I think then if you're around gender, it's around like people transitioning. You should self-analyze. For me, it's like dumber, weirder stuff, like people who like to dress up as clowns. I kind of keep distance from them because it's weird. You know what I mean? Like you think I'm joking, but I'm literally thinking of literal people.
That's great. I mean, you know what? Do what you want. That's your business. That ain't mine. Do what you want to do.
But to me that makes more sense than like the bigotry shit, because like, you know, dressing the clown is like, okay, why are you doing that? That's weird. All right, clowns are creepy.
I mean, whatever, you know, you vibe over there, I'm a vibe over here, we cool. You know, our worlds ain't got to intersect with one another. You could do your thing, I could do mine, and we all right. Like, it ain't got to be nothing.
And now, like I said, if it's around, if someone's uncomfortable based like on some bigoted mindset, I think they should analyze it. But yo, you want to be bigot? Be a bigot. Cool. Just you don't get
do that shit over there. Go do that shit over there.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, you know, keep that in your house. Go home with your little bigoted bros and hang out over there and do that. And you just, you know, when you're in public, keep it to your motherfucking self. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem that ludicrous to me. Or like, you know, I don't know. But we live in a weird society, right? We live in a society that rewards a lot of the worst behaviors and worst mindsets, and punishes people trying to just be free. You know what I mean? And I wanted to ask, like, have you ever had I've like, I know Cat Black called like the four walls experience, and like how has that impacted relationships specifically?
Four walls. So what you mean by that?
Well, where someone will only date or see you with inside those four walls, inside like your house, not really trying to go out and see you and interact, and they aren't really consistent, that type of shit.
See, I ain't really got experience with that, because like, I'm higher risk. I'm not high risk, but I'm higher risk compared to others for like COVID. So I don't really go nowhere unless I know it's going to be COVID safe, because I can't, like, really nobody can afford to catch COVID, but I can't afford to catch COVID like 100%. So you know, that's not really an issue for me. And when it comes to like, and I don't know if this is common among trans folks, but I feel like it probably is. But for the first however long transitioning, and even now, like, how I date, if at all, is like extremely particular. So for the first 8 to 12 months of transitioning, or the first like 8-9 months of transitioning, I didn't date. One, because, you know, I wasn't happy with like how I looked, and two, you know, I'm in the middle of a transition, or just starting transition. Like, relationships don't, I think, what's the figure? I think something like 10% of relationships survive transition, which isn't an indictment of like the people that are in relationships with trans people who choose to transition, because you were attracted to that person as they were before, and if they change, you know, like in that particular way, in that specific way, like when it comes to, you know, gender expression, like, I don't really have any ill will towards someone who says, well, I was attracted to you as a woman, but, you know, you're transitioning into, you know, living your life, you know, authentically as a man. I'm not attracted to men, you know, we should move on. Like, that's cool. There's really, like, there's no problem with that. But like, that's part of the issue for me, because like, when I started to transition, I'm not gonna, like, unless I'm gonna date someone who is explicit about being bi and has already had experience with dating trans people, like, I'm not gonna, it's like being the first black person that a white person dates. Like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, get the fuck out of my face, yo. We're not doing that, because I'm not trying to be your experiment. I'm not trying to be like your educator and shit. You know, more power to those people who do that, but it ain't for me.
Yeah.
And now when I go to date, I have to like I really can't even use dating apps. The only one that I might use a little bit is Lex. But before I even start talking to someone or trying to initiate a conversation, I have to vet you as much as possible beforehand so I know some semblance of what the fuck I'm about to get into. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to go into this situation knowing that you're a trans misogynist. Like, nah. Like I'm gonna make sure like, all right, you got trans people around you. Like I look through your socials or whatever because you got them linked. You know, so I went through and I see, you know, you working with trans people, or you around trans people, you do this or you do that. Then I might reach out. But until then, like, I like if I'm gonna keep it real, like I'd rather date no one than have to deal with someone who doesn't have trans people in their life. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I'd rather just be the fuck alone. Like I'll get a cat and a dog or some shit, you know. I'll mind my business. I'll adopt a baby or something. Like I don't need that.
No, I get that. You know what I mean? Different reasons, but I'd be on the same way. Like if my whole thing is like, it just ain't to do with transness or nothing, but like my whole thing is if I don't can't mentally or emotionally feel somebody for real, like we might be able to be friends with benefits type situation, but I can't like date. Like I'm not. It's just not worth it. I'd rather just be at home by myself working on a video. You know what I mean? Like no cat, because it's just like I didn't used to feel that way when I was younger, but as I've like aged, I've been like, nah, man, it just ain't worth the time. Like if we can't.
Effort.
Exactly, like and
Dating
everybody
is
like
already hard. Like the shit is already hard.
yes, like and from my aspect of this being seen as cis, like a lot of the things in the hoops that people want me to jump through, I'm like, dog, if you're trying to make me jump through it, it's not even worth it. Like if you don't want to just legitimately know me and get to know me first and like just get to know me before like expecting all these like courtship type shit, I'm good. I'm hard good. Like I don't even like it's not that important. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And like and I've never and honestly, if I'm gonna be real, I don't know about I don't know about you, but I've never found a relationship in the standard courtshipy way. Like that's never been how I found a solid relationship. Every time it's come from a genuine interactions with people and just building something, and then like, yo, I kind of like you, yo, and then having to be like build from there, right? But not like, oh, let me take you out, let me go this and that. That's never bear fruit for me. It's not something that I was like, eh.
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't. I ain't never done like the like you ask someone out and then we go on dinner and then we do this and then we do that. Like, nah, like I'd rather go on a walk and talk to you. You know what I mean? I'd rather chill out somewhere and talk to each other and learn shit about one another. Because if I learn some shit I don't like, then you know we can dip. Like it ain't gotta be nothing. But
exactly
when it comes to like dating, I would much rather like. I mean, this is I think like if you're not getting to know the person you're dating, you're not fucking dating. But I'm not into the whole like. I don't know. I feel like this is probably like a cis woman experience mostly, but like, you know, we ask out and then we do a date out somewhere and we got to sit down and be fucking awkward about it and shit. Like, I'm not. I don't know. I don't vibe with that, and that's not really something that's available to me right now anyway. And it's not really something I want. Like, I don't want somebody to come up to me and like ask me on a date or some shit like that. Like I'd rather be somewhere and just have a fucking conversation doing some shit that we both enjoy. You know what I mean?
Facts. And I think even if the relationship doesn't last, I feel like that way has better outcomes because like
we friends now. Like cool.
Yeah, exactly. Most of my exes are still my friends. You know what I mean? The vast majority. You know what I mean? And so like when I see people who do the courtship method, I very rarely see those survive a breakup. Like, you know what I mean? Like where they're friends afterwards. Just usually like I'm like,
yeah, you just wash. I mean, if that's what y'all want to do, y'all can do that. That's none of my business. But
to me, that's a sign that shit don't work. To be a buck. To me, it's a sign that shit don't work.
Whatever works for whoever. You know, I'm not gonna knock how people mind their business, but For me, it's like if I'm gonna date you, like there's a lot, like I said earlier, there's a lot more like front end shit I gotta do before I can even start to like, because it's a vulnerable experience, right? Like getting to know someone requires you to be vulnerable, and it requires you to open up about yourself to another person that you don't know. Um, and if I'm gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that with someone who 3 months, 4 months down the line is gonna be transphobic or fucking racist or ableist or whatever. Like that's gonna happen because we live in a fucked up society, so you learn those lessons. But I'm not trying to date someone who's gonna like double down on that shit if and when it comes up. You know what I mean? Like if I'm dating you and something happens, I need to be able to communicate that something to you and have you deal with it, as opposed to you getting mad at me for bringing it up or acting like I caused the problems or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. So I gotta do a lot of front end sort of shit. So when it comes to dating, like I need to be able to, like, if I'm gonna date you, it has to be, how do I say it? Like I gotta have a way to gather information about your attitudes before I even think about dating you. So if I'm gonna date you, it's because like we have like a shared social circle or something like that, right? Like you're one of the people in my grad school, right? You're one of the people in my not my cohort, that's not the word, but like in the department or whatever. And we've interacted a bunch, so I know what your attitudes are. I know, this and that, and it gives me a base to work from. Or, if we're talking like Lex or some shit, people like link to their Instagrams and all of that, so I can go through your Instagram and like read your posts and see, what you talk about, how you talk, who you follow, shit like that. So I can start to get a vibe for like what I'm walking into before I even start to walk into it. Like I'm not just gonna go up to someone that I think like is a lesbian and just start talking to them, because one, that could be that could be straight up dangerous. But the rejection could also put me in danger itself, and so I have to. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, but I have to put additional burden on myself and entire like venues that people might use for dating. Like cis men complain all the time about like, well, what, I just can't walk up and talk to somebody on the street now anymore. I'm like, bitch, like that's not even something that's available to me. Like, what the fuck you mean? Like I wouldn't do that at all. So like when I say is like entire avenues are cut off for me, as it stands now, I'm not going to go to a lesbian bar and ask someone on a date unless that lesbian bar has made being trans inclusive explicit and part of their culture, on top of like COVID precautions and all that other shit. But like just specific to this, if I don't know that I'm going into a space that is explicitly welcoming to me, then I'm just not gonna fucking do it.
That's true. That I mean, I feel that. That's real. I mean, I feel the feeling. I'm absolutely the fucking bull in the china shop. Oh, you don't want me here? Let me knock over all this shit on purpose now. Like,
motherfucking nerves.
Oh, hey man, I'm sorry. There's got to be some of us that are naturally oppositional. I'm just gotta...
I mean, do you? I'm just saying. I ain't mad at it. Just,
I mean, to be fair, it depends on why. I walk very carefully if there's reasons to actually respect it. But if it's based off some bigotry, oh, bruh, let me just piss you off. Like, I don't know. I definitely have a tendency of the edgelordy personality. So, like, it doesn't change just because I'm not like a bigot to be edgelordy. I just edgelord the bigots, right? Like, I'm just like, let's go. Yeah. Let's just get it, man. You gonna piss off. And also, I think there's a lot of disadvantages to being really big, but some of the advantages is specifically in white spheres or non-black spheres, bro. People be scared of your size. Like niggas, not as much, but a lot of other motherfuckers be rattled of your size. So yeah, so I guess I can stomp like that, which gives me like I guess it can be a privilege in some ways. It can be very detrimental on others, but I think also I'm not somebody who ever. Well, I think I told FD this was like I'm somebody who I've always been too big and fat to run away from a motherfucker. So it's always only been through. It's
This nigga
always
said I'm too big and fat to run, so I gotta fight. Get the fuck up my face, yo.
no, I mean don't get wrong. Like I've outrun a few cops, but cops are slow. You know what I mean? Like some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. But like when it comes to like when I was growing up, man, I could not run from niggas, man, bro. It was not happening. So it was the only way it was through. So I kind of got a confrontational personality because of that, because I never had the option to like retreat. That wasn't the option I had. You know what I mean? So I just did that maneuver. So, I got that bull in China shop. Plus, like I said, I'm born the year of the ox. So maybe that's why I run around just like knocking shit over.
All right. Nah, but I don't know. People saying some stuff in the chat too that I wanted to engage with too, because they was talking about like dating while broke, and that shit is fucking hard. Like dating is hard, but dating while broke, especially being trans. Like, if I didn't have any sort of makeup, or specific type of clothes that I can use to hide certain parts of my body or, show other parts or whatever, if I didn't even have like my own spot, like I live alone and I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford to pay for this by myself. Like, all of them things just like compound the issue. If I couldn't get meds, that would be a serious fucking problem. On top of just, like being black and taking care of my hair, like even if we're not talking about medication, even if we're not talking about makeup, even if we're not talking about clothes, just something like taking care of my hair takes so much effort, so much time, more money than really fucking needs to. And my hair is a huge part of my presentation. Like, I don't want to talk for anybody on this, so I'll just like talk for myself about it. But like one of the ways that I can help like soften my appearance is, using my curls. And I can bring my curls down like over my brow so it's less pronounced. And then, I can do things like what I wear or what type of makeup I put on, if I put on any at all, and further soften my appearance. So then I can signal to people very clearly, like, okay, this is not a cis person, or at least like this person is queer. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have my own spot, really. I mean, I could, like, there are ways you can figure out to make that happen if you don't live alone, but like I'm just saying, like, for me it makes it easier because I have my own spot. I have a blow dryer, I got 2 Denman brushes, I got hair care products that I can do hair care. I have a Sunday wash day. Today was the wash day and I washed my hair today. And being able, just as something as simple as being able to take care of my hair makes just, one, you just feel better, but makes dating, like for me, right, because I have like 3B3C. Letting aside the issues with like the curl chart for a second, I got 3B3C, and when it comes to, we're talking specifically about texturism here, my hair is more desirable on average than like yours. You know what I'm saying? Because like you got kinky, you got a fro. My hair don't grow like that, and it comes with fetishization issues, but like that makes dating easier for me just on that specific axis. People see my curl, like I get comments on my hair all the time when I'm out in public. Oh my God, your hair is so pretty. I'm just like, yeah, okay, thank you. And I just keep it moving. Especially like if they're a white person, I'm just like, okay, thank you. And I keep it moving. If they're black, I might consider, if they're black or brown, I might consider, stopping and talking, I might, lick the eyebrows a little bit and kick some game, but I'm not doing that if you white. But even just like that, like even something as simple as having the time and money to do my hair makes this that much easier, even though it is still really fucking difficult.
Also, the problem if you stop to talk to white people when they compliment your hair, you know they're gonna ask to touch it.
Yeah, I'm not, and you're not doing that.
That's
That's day 4. I'll let you if you white, I'll let you suck my dick before I'll let you touch my hair. You'll get the fuck out of my face.
Man, look. Okay, my rule's like this: if you white, you can touch my hair before dating me for at least 2-3 months if you can braid. If you can't braid, fuck off. Like if you twisting it, okay, we can run with it. You know what I mean? If you twist it, cool. But otherwise, nah, man. I don't know. I don't really date white people like that to be a buck.
No, I hear you. For me, it's like because the situation for me is so particular. I have to make a choice between spending longer without a partner or dating outside of my race. Yeah. I have to choose, like, am I just gonna take the meager comers that are coming this way, because of who I am, just because of who I am, or am I willing to wait longer? And I know some black queer people who are willing to wait, and that's cool. For me, like my partner's white, and she's white as hell. I mean, like when I say she's white, I mean like she's white as hell. But she's also in community with black folks. She was in community with black folks before I even came around. So, shout out to all the Negroes that had cause to interact with them before I met them. They already had like a solid base, especially black women, to be clear, that were around them. Like they already had a solid base of talking to black women. So for me, if I'm going to date outside of my race, I'm going to date you only when I know or have caught wind. Because, you spend time around a white person enough, and not even enough, an hour or two around a white person, you could tell if they're in community with black folks or not. So
yeah. For me,
it's like that. It's like that.
For me, it's not even just like if they're community, but do you fuck with hood black folks? And I'm not talking about, and you can't pick one side either. You can't be like, I fuck with black men, but you don't fuck with black women. You can't be like, you fuck with black women, but don't fuck with black men. If you got either one of those things going on, I'm like, I don't fuck with you. Like, if you don't fuck with black men, I don't fuck with you. If you don't fuck with black women, I don't fuck with you. Like, it just is what it is. And I'm not saying like, I mean visibly. Like, I'm not talking about like, oh no, I fuck with, because everybody's gonna say they do. Right, but then when you got 0 friends that are black men or 0 friends that are black women, bruh,
that's the tell right there. That's the tell right there.
Yeah, okay.
Show me your friend group. Show me the last class photo you had. That's what I want to see.
Exactly. And I ain't gonna say like I won't date white people because that's not true, but it pretty much that if I will, then you're probably gonna be able. Most black folks are probably gonna get along with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I won't that if it's not something that you can't get like you would just anyway, especially motherfuckers in the hood. If you can't get motherfuckers in the hood, then you can't fuck with me like that. Like, it's just no interest. And it's already hard because like I don't know, I just had too many bad experiences, and also there's like certain things I expect specifically. Like, I'm not like the like I protect you type person. I'm like, no, we gotta have each other's back. And a lot of white people don't do that. They like especially white women don't do that. It's like, protect me. Like, nah, dog. Like, not. I mean, yes, I'll have your back, but like we in it together. I'm not in it. I'm not replacing you in the situation. Like, I'm not doing that. Right. All that shit is, and I think that's a big thing with like dating white folks. That's a big part, and also just I don't want to explain everything to motherfucker. Like, if I explain a whole bunch of shit, that's
what I'm saying. Like, I'll share, I'll educate, right, about stuff that I want to, but I don't have the time to sit here and explain to you all of the intricacies of this and that and the other. Like, I'm not trying to be a fucking educator. when it's time to lay down. You know what I mean? Like
Facts.
like nah. I can't. There's plenty of other spaces to do that shit in. Um,
Big
and
facts.
that goes for being trans too. Like I don't want to sit here and have to educate you constantly, which already puts me at a severe like disadvantage when it comes to like numbers. Just if we're just talking numbers, not to like reduce people to numbers, but just talking about like the likelihood of even finding someone to go on a date with is itself already severely diminished, because I feel like most people don't know shit about trans people for the most part. For most people, it's like, oh, so you like, even if like you're well meaning, I feel like the average understanding is like, oh, so you were born in the wrong body and you're trying to fix your body to match, this specific gender. And it's like, no, bitch, like that's not what I'm trying to do. But that's what I feel like most people's understanding of transness is this is just like generic cookie cutter shit. And I don't really feel like going through an explanation every other day when I have to explain. Like, I don't want to have to explain to anyone why, I take estradiol and I use topical testosterone. Like, I'm not trying to, like, if you don't get it, then you don't get it. Like, bye. Like, are you getting bottom surgery? Like, no, bitch. I like my dick. I'm keeping the shit. Fuck you. Get the fuck out my face. Like, I don't feel like explaining that to nobody.
That's real. I could imagine. You know what I mean? Damn, damn, that would make it dating hard too, because someone has to already be invested in understanding, like, uh, which is like gonna be, especially like for you, like being black and trans is gonna be like hella hard, because you gotta understand being trans and you gotta understand
Yeah.
at least to some degree
Oh,
blackness,
honey,
which
no, shit. If you really want to if you want to talk about me specifically, you really want to get into it, it's understanding being black, it's understanding being autistic, it's understanding having multiple disabilities, it's understanding having ADHD, it's understanding, being Japanese, it's understanding being all of these. Like I got, like I got all this shit. Um, which is why I feel lucky as hell that I got even have a fucking partner at this point. But like, it's just too much. Like I already have to explain enough, and it's just too much to explain. So I just kind of like pick and choose what it is that I'm vibing with. Like it's for me, it's not an accident that like my partner is someone that I'm dating who's autistic already and is already gender nonconforming, who has disabled family members, who's already in community with multiple black women before we even met. You know what I mean? And like it has to be that specifically for me to even like to start to vibe with you.
fair enough. You know what I mean? I think uh I
Or
don't
you
know,
got
just
another
on
bot coming. You got
oh
another bot
oh my
in
god,
the.
I hate these things. Do they happen to you? Because I don't know, they like feels like they're like a
They pop into because I'm mod for Jesse Gender and I'm mod for FD and I'm mod for Khadijah. And I think I'm mod for Haryana, although Haryana don't be going live. But the bots they pop in everybody's shit, man.
okay. So yeah, I was like, I kind of felt like it was like I caught like it's like this is not meant to offend anybody. But it feels like a SDI. Like I caught it from non competes channel. You know what I mean? Like it just like
Mm.
spreads. You know what I mean? Just like how the fuck? Because I didn't never have them until a certain point of collaborating with EJ, and then they started coming over from EJ's channel over here, and I was like, how do these motherfuckers spread or find our channels? Because this should be whack. I'd be upset. Well, I
I think
want
they just scrape and pop in.
I just don't get it, man. Can I get the way bots find the channel? Can like real people find the channel in the same way? Like, what's going on?
Right? I'm saying. And not because I saw something in the chat. I want to make sure that I'm clear about it too. Like if you fit like the quote unquote basic explanation to transness, then like cool. Like that's a like that's normal. Like that's a permute. If it happens in real life, it's normal. So that's a permutation of being trans. So okay, like that is a permutation. But I guess the point that I was trying to make is that is like a single permutation of being trans. Like being trans is an expansive, broad experience in the same way that like being black is, which is why I appreciate the way a lot of black content creators are trying to articulate blackness in its basically infinite manifestations. And transness is basically the same way. There's an unlimited number of ways to be trans, for sure. So I just wanted to make sure, because I don't want people to feel like invalidated or like I'm poo-pooing their experience or their own choices. Just want to make sure that that's out there, so folks don't feel any type of way. I don't care if I get yelled at. I just don't want people to feel bad about it. You know what I mean?
Talk. I mean, I think, yeah, I don't think any of us are homogenous groups. You know what I mean? I think, and we all have these different intersections. You know what I mean? So I hella agree with you. Like, there's all these different ways to be trans. There's all these different ways to be queer. There's all these different ways to be black, and so on and so forth. Oh my God. Okay, there it goes. Yeah, and nah, like fuck. I think one thing I want to talk, because I was bringing up the four walls thing kind of for a reason. I wanted to, so I want to rewind to that a little bit. I feel like one thing is, and this is gonna like kind of be a little bit of a confession. I was debating if I should do this or not, but like, I think one of the things that's really important to be intentional, because for me, like I remember there was one person who I was dating, or we were messing with each other. We weren't dating yet, but we were messing with each other, and I didn't realize, like, they ended up they stopped wanting to communicate with me. I didn't understand what happened, and what I didn't realize is and it wasn't because it wasn't like in a malicious way. It wasn't meant to be it, but like I had accidentally contributed to patterns they already felt, and I realized that way later. Literally watching Cat Black, because when they were describing that situation, I was like, "Yo, I feel like that's why they like ghosted me," and it wasn't meant to be that. It was I have like mental health, depression issues. And I don't like going anywhere or doing anything sometimes. You know what I mean? I get in my holes, especially when I'm super triggered. But then I feel like it's really important. What I learned from that is really like important to like know and then consider and think about those things before like it's an issue, right? Because like I didn't realize what I was doing, and if I would realize it, I would have been like, oh, yo, it isn't coming from the same place, but like I would have been way more communicative and stuff. I think it's really important, especially if you're somebody who dates trans women, to especially trans women who date like cis men, then I think it's super important to be very conscientious about it, because I've felt bad about that ever since. And it was not even because it wasn't even something I was doing on purpose. It wasn't even something I was doing because whatever. It was because I'd just be depressed and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's those things of like that. But the impact on her, I'm pretty sure was not. I mean, the communication. So obviously, read very differently, despite what it was going on in my head. The impacts were like super negative for them. I mean, I don't know how negative, but like negative enough that they didn't want to talk to me anymore. And I didn't like, it took me literally years to tell us seeing like a video explaining that experience before I realized that like, oh damn, I probably made this person feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, shit. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. Because obviously, like, if it's when I've dated like cis women, for example, they don't feel like that way from me being depressed. They just like, what the fuck? Why are you flaky? It's like, oh, I'm hella depressed, and like I don't want to. I just want to sleep my life away right now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, on that intention point, like, and I'm not trying to throw shade, because I know it's a lot of trans people out there who choose not to disclose purely out of safety. But most of the trans people that I know or have dated front load that shit. Just say it up front. Like, I'm trans, I'm this, like, I'm telling you now, because like, if you don't date trans women, then don't talk to me. Just don't. Like, we can talk about the meta analysis of the situation or whatever, like whether or not excluding an entire group of people is, you know, an ism or not. But just on a practical level, like if I'm telling you that, then just like if you don't want to fuck with me, or if you don't want to date trans people, then just like kick rocks. Like you don't have to be in my DMs talking shit to me. Like just go be over there and date who you want to date. Like lean into your preferences. Don't come to me.
Facts.
But it's kind of wild to me because there's this whole like, I mean, I don't know if it's so much a thing anymore, but it was a thing at least 2 years ago, if not earlier, where people were like, "Oh, well, trans people should tell you if they're trans or not before you start dating them." And I'm like, have you never talked to a trans person? Have you ever never, like, you clearly never dated a trans person, because we don't generally, like, most of us don't hide the shit.
Yeah, I mean, big. I like that. That's big facts. And then I also like, even with I forget what her name is, homegirl who like was outing people or whatever, which is not. I'm not condoning outing people, but also, like, you know what I mean, the whole big thing about the arguments around like her specifically were like based off of, like, you wouldn't know. Like, I don't know, because a lot of the things, like, they wouldn't know if you didn't, unless basically, here's the thing is, I don't understand how the fuck motherfuckers portray like you, like, a specific way, if you had hooked up with the person, right? Especially if they're like, I mean, unless like you're saying a transition, but like there was like all these people getting outed by this one woman who was trans, right? But then it's like, and they're all freaking out, and all the like weirdos in the manosphere are freaking out. But it's like, wait, but if you're hooking up with somebody, don't you already understand what's going on to some degree? What did never make sense to me, but also it's like, why is this praxis from? I don't know. It's like the thing of that you think that you were necessarily gonna, since you don't know, obviously, you think that you were going to hook up with the person, or is it like the fact of, I don't know, they be on some weirdo shit, and I'm just really confused by it, honestly, because I'm like, what their mindset is, or is it just justifications? I don't know.
Well,
I feel like I'm going left with it, but
no, but like you're touching on something I think that matters, because there's this issue. Just, I mean, this is a general issue of expectations that people have, like, in dating, but there's also expectations that people have of like particular types of people when dating. So like for me, like, I don't know, maybe you consider it being lucky or whatever, I don't know, like, you know, I consider myself a top. So being black and dating, you know, as a trans person, it doesn't really become much of an issue with me. But I've heard from other like black trans people, especially black trans women, where there's this expectation that you're going to top, because you know, if you're black, you know, you get coded as masculine. You know, men get coded as hyper masculine. People who present male get coded as hyper masculine, and you know, even just cis black women get coded as masculine, and they just be minding their fucking business, like Simone Biles, like, and Michelle Obama, and you know, Serena Williams, and Beyonce, I think to some degree got it too. Like, this is a known issue with black women, where you get coded as masculine just for being fucking black. And you know, like, it hasn't specifically been an issue in my life yet, but I've heard like other black trans people and heard from other black trans women who frequently like lament being expected to do or behave certain ways instead of someone like taking them as the person they are and asking them what they like to do, etc., etc. So there's this additional expectation, like, especially if you're like, I think if you're a trans person, like a trans woman who hasn't gotten bottom surgery or doesn't plan to get bottom surgery, there's also, I think, an expectation that you're going to top when like some people just don't want to do that shit, you know? And it's that expectation that comes where people have preconceived notions about who you are because of your identity markers as opposed to just taking you for the person that you articulate, you know what I mean?
That's, yeah, that's real. Damn. I think everybody. It seems like just in general, everybody wants to put people into their own boxes that they want to perceive. Like everyone wants to. What's the word I used to use all the time? Type you, right? They want to
Mm,
like you're this type or that type or this type or that type, and like that goes for like everything from personalities to especially gender, right? They want to type you or like or sexual preference or orientation, and then if you don't fit into those types, then it's kind of like you get ostracization on top of ostracization. You know what I mean?
mm, mm, mm.
So I mean that's something I feel like I've seen as far as human doing that or Americans doing that. Maybe it's not humans because a lot of time I put humans and realize that I've only lived within inside the U.S. So I can only speak of our culture, and I have to always remind myself like within our like our American existence, which is one specific thing, but it feels like within inside people here like want to type everybody and as much as possible on top of that. So it's like
Mm.
if you can't if you can't hit one of these boxes they've already decided are valid, then yeah, you know what I mean. Then they'll either try to shove you in it, or then they'll ostracize you like worse than they ostracize everybody else.
Yeah.
So now, damn man, fuck, my brain just farted.
Nigga had a brain queef.
Yeah, man, I'll be having those sometimes. That's what I'm saying. I'll be like, it's the ADHD, I swear, and everything.
I hear you. I hear you.
I guess we're on our last actually 10 minutes. I'm just realizing. Do you want to plug any of your work and let everybody know more about your channel and all that good stuff before we get up out of here?
Yeah, sure. We're getting back into it. I had a whole bunch of life shit happen that kind of fucked me up. But I'm on YouTube. You find me on YouTube at Bellamy Raya. I built a studio in my house, so I got stuff that I've been wanting to do coming in the near future. I stream sometimes over on Twitch TV. If you just search my name on any of the platforms, you'll find me. I'm fortunate that I picked a name that's unique enough, so it's easy to locate me. But you follow me on Twitter, you follow me Instagram, wherever there are social media, I'm around there. I just may not be super active. But also keep an eye out in the, I don't know, distant future, not so distant future, near distant future, whatever the fuck, I don't know. But I'm a writer too, so write poetry. I'm working on a book. Book's coming out never. I say never, but no, it'll be some time. It's something that I'm working on for my PhD, so it'll probably become when my PhD also finishes. But just keep an eye out because I got some stuff that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and until I got like my home situation together, then I wasn't able to do it. But now that I've done that, I'm able to start doing things again. If you can avoid getting bed bugs, I would very much encourage you to avoid getting bed bugs.
I've been able to dodge that bullet my whole life, and I'm still pretty proud of it. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that keeps going.
Keep your eyes peeled for real. Keep your eyes, because that shit, like, it doesn't sound like a big thing until it happens, and then you realize it can really upend your life. I was reading a paper when I first discovered the problem, however many months ago, that people who end up with bed bugs actually exhibit symptoms of PTSD after getting rid of them. Like it really, like if you think about the space that's safest for most people, like when you go to sleep, you are the most vulnerable you will ever be in your life because you are literally sleeping. And to have that space disrupted is a serious mind fuck might not be the word, but it's extremely unsettling. So don't get bed bugs if you can. Check the seams of your bed and make sure.
So you know, I've been on tour for a year and a half, and I've been like really shook, especially every time you got to stay at a hotel in a new place whenever you're staying at a hotel, because a hotel, like, especially if you get a cheap one, it's always a gamble. I remember, like, I try to avoid cheap ones if I have to get a hotel. Usually you're sleeping at other people's spots, so it's usually not that, but like when we had to get a hotel, I've been trying to be very careful of it. But like, yo, that should be scary. I remember also when I was a D-boy, like we used to stay at hotels and bed bugs weren't a big thing, but erosion and everything. And then when I came back after going to prison and getting out, and I went to stay at this one hotel I used to stay at. And, like we went and walked in there, and then like there was like a big ass bed bug just posted on a chair. Like, oh hell no! Turn the fuck around. I was like, nah, man, money bag, bro. We out of here. We're like, I'm good.
Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, Jay, hard agree. I hope Alekektra catches some real good dick later. Like for real. I hope she busts a fat fucking nut today. Good for her. I hope she has like a dope ass date.
Yeah, man. I was like, damn. I was just like, damn, I know what's happened. Shit. We're like almost gonna get introduced to them. I was like, I don't know if he wants to be introduced on a live stream. It's gonna have hundreds of people watching it. So I mean, because even if they're not watching live, the playback, even for only like 40 live. Once it's all over, it could be like 500 to a couple. You know, hopefully a couple thousand, ideally, but you know, you never know. But you know, if he was just like, "Hi, I didn't sign on to be in front of people." Hey, what's up? Hey, what would you do if you walked into a date and they were live streaming the shit?
I mean, I'm a performer, so I probably wouldn't give a fuck. But you know, it's just me.
But you weren't expecting it.
I mean, I don't know. I approach life really differently, just as like myself. I don't. For me, life is always in a performance, so I'm not really even like when I say I'm always performing. I mean that I am aware that life is a performance. So like I build my shit into my life. So there's no. I don't say there's no situation I'm unprepared for because that's wrong. But you know, in a situation where I'm expected to perform, like I'm never not ready. I'm always there.
See, I'm still not used to walking into a live already. If you're already feeling like, yo, hey, maybe I just been an anarchist too long. It's like before I really got into YouTubing, my instinct urge.
Don't
like,
show my face.
No.
Why you stop using my government and shit? What the fuck are you doing? My name is C-Dot. Why are you saying what is this?
Yeah, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, oh God, like don't give me a camera. It's my first instinct. And then I catch my composure. Then I'm like, okay, cool. But if I walked into a day, I'd be like, the fuck is this? I'll be scared. No, I really be scared that someone who watched my channel that low key and didn't know, and then like we matched on like a dating website, and that's like one of my fears. Like someone who's like a big fan of me is like, "Ooh, we matched." And I didn't know they liked me, and look, they don't comment or nothing. They just watch. I'm like, "Oh God, no."
That's funny because I had somebody that I ain't talked to in a couple of years reach out to me recently, and was like, I came across your YouTube channel, low key, like that's the reason I wanted to talk and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh God, like all right, like we could talk, like it's cool.
Damn, just from workshops and stuff alone before like YouTube ever started getting any stuff, I've had people try to interact with me and then find out they knew me like afterwards, and it's always like weird because you like there's this thing where people like just look at you and just wait for you to say something, and like there's a lot of that. The other times like, and so I can only imagine like if I like they like see me somewhere on like YouTube and like yeah, good day, and then it's just like you're sitting there on this date and they're just staring at you the whole time. You're like,
see, I'll just look back though. I'm weird enough. I'll just look back. Like if you're gonna stare at me, then I'll just stare back. Like it's cool. Or I'm gonna say something about you staring at me because, like, I ain't got time to. Like, it's weird having like being who I am now versus who I was because now I don't have time for like any of those weird ass like cis dating norms or straight dating norms. Like I don't get that shit anymore. So I'll just say the shit at this point. Like I ain't got time to sit here and play games and be sly or clever about this or that and the other. Like, nah, like I'm gonna just say like if I'm trying to fuck, I'm just gonna say you. Like, yo, I'm trying to fuck. Like that's what I am here for. If you are not here for that, let me know so I can move on and you can move on and we ain't gotta waste our time.
Exactly. No, for real. That's how I'll be like. No, here's my thing. That's why I don't be in relationships too. Is I'm just trying to hurry up and get comfortable. And if you want to string that the fuck out, like I'm good. Like I don't like I want to like. Not like that. Like
I'm playing.
but like
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we're like you're comfortable with each other. You don't have to, like you're not trying to put on. You're not trying to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
You just accept each other. I'm trying to get to that spot as quick as possible. If I'm looking for a relationship, if I'm not looking for a relationship, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we're just having fun. It's okay. You know what I mean? But like if I'm looking for a relationship, like no, let's get to the comfortable status as quick as possible. It doesn't mean like we have to be like I said, doesn't mean we moved in together, anything like that, but just like we're just be comfortable around each other without like any expectation. You know what I mean? And it feels like a lot of people want to string that process out, and I'm like, oh hell no. I don't want to be like trying to put on like my best foot, wear my best outfit every time I see you, every fucking no, I want to be able to come out like in the sweats and be like, yo, what's up? And just answer the door without having like, oh, do I got like all my rings on? Do I got my hair? Oh shoot, I didn't pick my hair. I don't want to have to worry about like my goals and like because honestly, once you get that comfortable state, it's really once you know somebody. You know what I mean, once you really understand somebody, you get in those comfortable states. But the whole before, like I don't like stringing that out because my whole point of building a relationship is trying to get to know somebody, right? So if we're gonna string out getting to know each other for so often long, it's like, yo, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, this is why like motherfuckers break up at 3 months a lot of times. At the end of the day, once you finally get there, you're like, I don't really want to be with you now. Like, you know what I mean? Because you're like, shit, well, we took so long to get there. Now that I know who you are, I don't really want to date you like that. You know what I mean? Versus
that was all of my relationships when I was younger, basically. 3 months and done. 3 and done. That's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I used to have a lot of those too.
It is what it is. You learned, and then you figured out, I don't want this. So then you dipped. And then that's all it's really got to be. It ain't got to be nothing else. But yeah, I feel you. But I don't know. This went from pluggables back to conversation, but you know.
Yeah, well, my bad.
I got what I got. I said what I had to say, I think. So appreciate you having me on.
For sure. I'm glad that you came on. Also for everybody watching, we're about to end it. Please subscribe to Overthrow Media, hit that bell, all that good stuff.
Ding, ding,
also, also go over and I can't talk right now. Subscribe to Bellamy Ray as well, and hit that bell as well so you get notifications because YouTube doesn't like to tell y'all when we drop videos and stuff. So you gotta do all the things so that you can support our channels. And also if you want to support me in other ways like Patreon, it's Big Villainous and all my other socials. You can also find me on Instagram, all that other good shit. Do you got other socials before we click off that might be different?
I mean, it's name the same everywhere. If you don't find me wherever you're looking for me, then I ain't there, and don't ask me about it.
All right, that's it. All right. Well, thank y'all everybody for tuning in. We about to click off. Catch y'all later. Deuces.
Bye, everybody.